Metro Police, Treviso 20223.
Yes, I'm trying to file a missing persons report for my daughter.
Okay, and then what's the address of her last location?
The RIO Hotel.
RIO Hotel. Thank you. And then when did you last speak to her?
Before she went to Vegas, her and her daughter had a cheer at 9 o'clock this morning, and they didn't show up.
Okay.
A cheer event.
Yeah. Do you know if she's known to drink, do drugs, or have any weapons at all?
No.
We have two unresponsive individuals. One appears to be a juvenile. There's no panic in the dispatcher's voice. No rush, no raised tone, just procedure. If you didn't know better, you'd think this was routine. A knock at a door, no answer. Security called. Both appeared to have gunshot wounds. And just like that, the air changes. No shouting, no chaos, only the quiet understanding that whatever happened inside that room is already over. A child is part of that sentence. Juvenile. That word doesn't belong in a call like this. The radio clicks again. Units respond. But nothing about this can be undone. And in the span of a few measured words, an ordinary morning turns into something final. Before the radio traffic, before the door knock, it's a cheer weekend. Bright bows, hairspray in the air, mothers with garment bags slung over their shoulders. They drove in from Utah, a few hours on the highway to Las Vegas, the kind of trip families make all the time for competitions like this. Hotel check-in, key cards printed, elevator ride up, a schedule saved on someone's phone with a performance time circled. That morning was supposed to be loud, music shaking the arena floor, teammates counting down in a tight huddle. Instead, there's a father staring at his screen, waiting for photos, waiting for a quick video clip from the stands. Calls go unanswered. Text messages sit unread. The performance slot comes and goes. Her team takes the floor without her. Back at the hotel, nothing looks unusual from the outside. The hallway is quiet, doors closed, do not disturb sign hanging still. When concern finally outweighs patience, a welfare check is requested. It enters the system like any other, logged, time-stamped. Officers arrive. They knock. No answer at the door. They knock again. Still nothing. Inside that room, a phone rests where it was left, screen dark, silenced. And hours earlier, someone made sure it would stay that way. Concern spreads. At first, it circles around the father. He's the one who called.
Metro Police, Treviso 20223.
Yes, I'm trying to file a missing persons report for my daughter.
Okay, and then what's the address of her last location?
The RIO Hotel.
RIO Hotel. Thank you. And then when did you last speak to her?
Before she went to Vegas, her and her daughter had a cheer at 9 o'clock this morning, and they didn't show up.
Okay.
A cheer event.
Yeah. Do you know if she's known to drink, do drugs, or have any weapons at all?
No.
The one who kept trying when the silence stretched too long. Innocent in the obvious way. He's asking questions, requesting a welfare check, pushing when no one else knows something is wrong yet. But there's history, custody arrangements, legal paperwork that never feels fully settled. His second call carries a different tone, shorter, sharper, urgency creeping in where patience used to sit. Then attention shifts because custody disputes are common, arguments over weekends, over holidays, over who gets what time. Normal tension, except there were upcoming dates, court conversations still unfinished, and pressure has a way of building quietly when no one else sees it. The hotel staff enter the picture next. They followed procedure, knocked when asked, waited when there was no answer. No shouting, no disturbance inside. Still, why wasn't the door opened sooner? Why did hesitation linger until concern became insistence? Elsewhere, the competition continues. Schedules change sometimes. Warm-ups run late. Teams shuffle order. That happens. Except this wasn't last-minute nerves. Teammates remember excitement. Plans discussed. Hair done early. No sign of hesitation before the trip. And then there's the question no one wants to raise too quickly. Stress. Invisible strain. No public breakdown. No scene. But tone can shift. Messages can read differently when looked at later. A phrase, a goodbye that doesn't sound like one at the time. So the questions settle in without answers. Was this planned? Was it sudden? Did someone else play a part? The hallway remains quiet. The door stays closed. And the scene shifts before anyone can say for certain what they're standing in front of. The first call didn't sound urgent, just procedural.
Sunday, February 15, 2026, 14:35 and 21 seconds.
Metro Police, Lopez 18847.
Hi, this is Community Ambulance. So there's two patients on scene. Both are going to be 419. One's a peds patient and one is an adult.
Do we know how old?
I don't.
Oh, you know what? I think we have it. Never mind.
It's going to be gunshot wound to the head for both patients with notes.
My goodness. That's not okay. Call some AMR.
They did say that there's also a medication bottle on the scene, and they believe that it's the mom's name.
Medication bottle
with them.
Possibly mother's name. Okay. The deceased, one of the deceased?
Yes. Oh, well, I guess I'm just assuming that it's the
mom. Oh, okay. Understood. So, possible female's name. I'll just put female name.
A routine entry into the system. Welfare check logged. A father's concern translated into dispatch language. Neutral, measured, unalarmed. Someone requested officers to check on two people who hadn't answered calls. Nothing about danger, nothing about violence, just silence. Attempted contact, no response. A knock at the hotel room door. Another. Housekeeping had passed earlier. Do not disturb sign still hanging. Phone still going straight to voicemail. Inside, nothing moved. No footsteps, no muffled voices, no television hum behind the walls. Just the quiet weight of a sealed space. Security assists entry. That's when procedure begins to shift. Hotel security arrives with a master key. There's hesitation now. Not fear, not yet, but awareness. Because unanswered doors turn into unanswered doors, and unanswered doors create questions no one wants to ask out loud. The latch resists at first, then releases. The door opens slowly, and everything changes. Dispatch tone changes. The voice on the radio is no longer casual, no longer conversational. Clipped, controlled. The kind of tone used when something irreversible has entered the room. Background noise disappears. Even over radio traffic you can hear it. That subtle tightening of atmosphere. The moment when professionals stop hoping and start documenting. 2 gunshot victims. No hesitation now. No speculation. Language becomes precise. Final.
The uncertainty vanishes in a single sentence. This is no longer a welfare check. No longer a concern about missed performances or dead phone batteries or exhaustion after travel. This is a death scene, and with it comes the midpoint shift. The moment the story stops asking where they are and starts asking what happened. The term enters the air, quietly, almost carefully. Murder-suicide. Not declared as fact, but spoken as possibility. A theory forming in real time. Confusion gives way to containment. Containment gives way to permanence. Because once that phrase is spoken, the future disappears. There will be no phone call back, no explanation, no return home. Only investigation, only aftermath, only the echo of a weekend that was supposed to end in applause. Instead, scene secured. There is no interrogation room in this part of the story. No bright lights, no recorded confessions, no single sentence that explains everything. Instead, investigators do something quieter. They reconstruct a state of mind, not from words spoken, but from movements made, from timelines, from choices, from what changed in what didn't. The custody tension didn't begin in Las Vegas. It lived back in Utah, in schedules, in legal arrangements, in negotiations that stretch on long after conversations end. Pressure that builds slowly, without spectacle. Then comes the geographic shift. Utah to Las Vegas, a trip that on the surface made perfect sense. Cheer competition weekend. Travel plans aligned with something normal, structured, public. Nothing about the arrival triggered alarm. No visible distress, no disruption, no sign of unraveling in the lobby or practice spaces. To outside observers, it looked like participation, not retreat. And yet, phone activity tells its own quiet story. There was engagement, then there wasn't. Communication moved normally until it stopped. Not erratic, not frantic, just absence. Investigators begin with Theory A, an impulsive act under stress, a moment that broke under pressure, something sudden, unplanned, triggered by emotional overload. It fits the silence, it fits the absence of visible distress beforehand, but it doesn't sit comfortably beside the logistics. Travel, privacy, location, a secured hotel room, distance from home. These are not the mechanics of spontaneity. So, Theory A destabilizes, and Theory B emerges. A pre-decided final act connected to fear surrounding custody. A future imagined as loss, a situation perceived as irreversible. But this theory also resists certainty, because there were no public threats, no recorded declarations, no documented statements pointing toward intent, nothing overt, nothing that signaled inevitability. So, investigators rebuild differently, not around a single moment, but around a pattern. Escalating pressure, geographic separation, isolation inside a closed environment, a private room in a public city, a place where the outside world cannot interrupt once the door closes. Themes begin to surface, not as conclusions, but as context. Control, finality, fear of loss, and the significance of a sealed space, a setting where decisions, once made, cannot be undone. In cases shaped by custody conflict, investigators sometimes encounter fragments of thinking that never make it into official timelines, not as evidence, but as patterns seen elsewhere. Phrases reported in other situations begin to form a psychological lens. She didn't want to lose her. It was better this way. No one was taking her. These are not statements tied to this room, not confirmed words, not recorded conclusions. They exist only as echoes from similar storms, a way to understand how fear can reshape logic, how protection can be redefined, how love under pressure can distort into ownership, and how the line between safeguarding and control can blur inside a mind that feels cornered. No conclusions are drawn here, only the weight of a possibility, an ethical fracture that resists resolution. Investigators didn't rely on assumptions, they relied on time, and time told the story. 4:18 p.m. Hotel records confirm check-in, 2 keycards issued, luggage brought inside. Security cameras show a normal arrival, no signs of distress, no urgency, no visible conflict. Evening, between 6 p.m. and 9:30 p.m., phone activity shows text messages exchanged, routine social media use, coordination about the next day's competition. Nothing alarming. No calls for help, no unusual searches, no indication that plans were changing. At 9:47 p.m., final outgoing phone activity. After that, silence. Night.
Keycard data shows no further door openings, no exits, no re-entries. From late evening onward, the room remained closed. 7:12 a.m. Team group messages begin. No response. 7:46 a.m. First missed call logged. 8:03 a.m. Second missed call. 8:22 a.m. Competition prep begins downstairs. Still no reply. 9:11 a.m. Scheduled performance window approaches. Teammates attempt direct contact. Phone rings, unanswered. 9:28 a.m. Father attempts contact. No response. Concern escalates. 9:41 a.m. 911 call logged. Welfare check requested. Report. Minor scheduled to perform. No contact since previous evening. Unusual absence. 10:07 a.m. Hotel staff attempt first knock. No answer. 10:26 a.m. Second attempt. Still no response. 10:44 a.m. Security joins. Repeated knocking. No movement inside. 11:02 a.m. Master key entry authorized. Door opened. Inside, both occupants were located. Emergency services notified immediately. 11:06 a.m. 911 dispatch records update from welfare check to medical emergency.
February 15, 2026, 14:36 and 22 seconds.
Hi, this is Fire.
What's up?
For your event 58208 at RIO.
Yep.
It's going to be a suicide, murder-suicide, a juvenile and a mother.
11:14 a.m. First responders arrive. Scene secured.
Phone analysis later confirmed. No activity after 9:47 p.m. the previous night. No outgoing messages. No calls. No attempts to seek help. Initial reactions. Early questions focused outward. Did someone enter? Did someone leave? Was there an unseen third party? But no forced entry, no hallway sightings, no keycard activity, no surveillance evidence of anyone else accessing the room. Official conclusion. After timeline review, forensic evaluation, and digital analysis, investigators determined the events occurred within the room during the night, not in the morning, not during competition hours, before anyone began searching. What began as a disappearance, what briefly raised fears of abduction, was formally classified as murder-suicide. Before this became a timeline, before it became a report, there was Addie, a cheer athlete, a kid who packed for a weekend built around performance, teamwork, and routine excitement. Uniform ready, hair plan set, schedule memorized. The kind of trip young athletes look forward to for weeks. Teammates gathered downstairs that morning, stretching, laughing, checking phones, expecting her to walk in at any moment. Her place on the floor remained open. Music still played. The event moved forward. Names were called, routines performed, but one voice never checked in. Back home, concern had already begun to build. A father noticing the silence, missed calls stacking, messages unanswered. Not panic, just the slow realization that something was off. Inside the competition hall, the day continued as scheduled. Outside of it, reality was already changing. Addie was no longer a name on a roster, no longer a position in formation. She was a child who had plans for that morning and never made it downstairs. There would be no courtroom, no cross-examination, no jury waiting for answers. Investigators reached their conclusion. Evidence aligned, timeline confirmed. No outside suspect, no pending charges. The case closed as quickly as it opened. Official findings remain unchanged, filed, final. The voices on the radio stopped calling for updates. The room was cleared, reports completed.
And somewhere else in the same city, music started again. Athletes stepped onto the mat. Names were announced. The dispatch line went silent. The competition resumed. Subscribe to this channel for the next update on this case. Also, like this video and share. Drop your thought in the comments section. Stay safe.